everybody. I'm Paige with Talking Points, and if you are here with us live, welcome. We are here every every Thursday at 4:30 Central to talk about anything and everything family engagement related, anything Talking Points related, and to answer your questions, to help you engage your families, to help you connect. So we are excited. I'm excited to be here with you and to help you out. This week, we are talking about an exciting topic that you may have already encountered this season. It's usually around October, maybe September. You may have already done it, but usually around October, teachers are gearing up for their very first family conferences, parent-teacher conferences, student-led conferences, family conferences, whatever it is that your school calls it, however they choose to run them. It's a big deal, and it is what you are probably thinking about. Grades have been due or are due around this time. You're making sometimes the first connection with some of those families. And it's a really important time. So we wanted to have a little bit of our time dedicated to talking about this and helping you figure out how you could use Talking Points to help with that and some of the information that we have to share with you. So I'm going to get started. And, did not mean to share that just now, but I will share that later. So we're going to get started talking about conferences. And just so you know, if you're with us right now, we are going to answer some questions about Talking Points, the tool, in a few minutes. So if you came with questions, you can go ahead and put them in the comments. You can wait a few minutes. Whatever you'd like to do, I'm here to answer those questions. And we are happy. They don't have to be about conferences. They can be about any way that you want to use it. We're here live to do that for you. So come ask those questions. If you're watching this later on and it's not live, still put those questions in. We'll see them and we can reply back to you later on. We want to be able to support you in any way that we can. So, talking about conferences, one of the things that we love to do as a nonprofit, one of the things that we're able to do is our own research. We have wonderful team members at Talking Points who can reach out to educators across the country, reach out to families across the country, and we can do research, we can ask questions, we can learn, and then we can share that research with you. And one of the impact surveys that we did recently gave us this really insightful information on what teachers love to know from families and what families love to know from their teachers. Because obviously, what we know and what we share with you all the time is family engagement matters. Those conversations matter. But what isn't always talked about is what should be going on in those conversations, what should be said by the family, what should be said by the teachers, and vice versa. So one of the things I wanted to share is what came out of that impact survey that we did, and we do, I believe, annually. So the first part, and I shared it briefly on accident, the first part is what teachers said they wanted to learn from families. And there were 3 top pieces of information. They said that they would like to hear about more from families. Social emotional challenges. So I think I've mentioned this a couple of times in the past that parents, families, guardians, whoever the grown-up is in your students' lives, those are the experts in your students, right? They were your student's first teacher. They are the experts and they see them all the time. They know what those social emotional challenges are at home because they might be different than they are at school, or they may have tried some strategies that work that you haven't thought to try before. And when you ask about those things, then families realize that they can share that information with you. So teachers want to know social emotional challenges, important family circumstances. I think some families don't realize they can share that information, or maybe they don't feel comfortable sharing that information unless they're asked, or they don't realize it's appropriate to share that information. So opening the doors and making sure it's clear that you're a safe space to accept that kind of conversation with families is important. And then behavioral challenges. Uh, that's obviously something that does come up in the classroom and at home. Sometimes behaviors are completely different at home and at school, but it's still important for educators and families to have those conversations because we can use similar or different strategies in those two locations because it is a partnership and it's important. And then on the other side, we have what families said they wanted to learn from teachers. They obviously want to know about academic progress. That's why our kids are at school. How are they doing? Share with me their grades. So when you have parent teacher conferences, obviously grades are going to come up. They also want to hear about behavior. So both sides want to hear about behavior. And then missing homework. I hopefully on all sides we're hearing about the missing homework before the conferences happen. And this impact study wasn't just what they want to hear on those check-ins at those conferences. It's just what I want to hear from my child's teacher all the time, what I want to hear from my students' parents all the time. So these are things that partnerships should be based around year round. So missing homework consistently so that when we do have those conferences, there's already awareness around little Susie hasn't been turning things in, or she's had a C in this class and we've been working together to get her progress moving up, that sort of thing, because our partnership has been built throughout the year. And excuse me, as we build those partnerships around these things that we mutually understand we want to know from one another, then our students can succeed. So that impact study is actually really fascinating. And when we can understand what educators and families actually want to hear from each other, it's actually really, really helpful rather than just sending what we think this might be helpful. Let's listen to each other. So another thing when thinking about conferences, I wanted to bring up this brilliant teacher. Her name is Wendy Young. She is a teacher in Kentucky. I just put that link to the impact survey information in our chat, by the way, if you want to look into it further. And the link I put also links to information about this teacher. So Wendy Young is a fabulous teacher in Kentucky who has been using Talking Points for a few years. And we love her because she has just she's incredible. She has used Talking Points for several years, but she's the expert, right? Because teachers are the experts. Talking Points is just a tool. You use the tool towards something that you are already an expert at. She builds these relationships with families using this solution, and she has done so in a brilliant way to where she has for 2 years in a row had 100% attendance by families at conferences, at parent teacher conferences. 2 years in a row. When she told us that, we were just like blown away. But she attributed that to her use of Talking Points. And there's a podcast interview and a bit of a blog post in that link that I put in the comments that goes through like what her experience with that is, and just the ease of use and communication and building those partnerships through the use of the solution of Talking Points. She believes made that a doable thing so much easier. I remember when I was teaching, never ever got close to 100% of my families coming to conferences. We would maybe get maybe 50% of my families. I would just push hard for the ones that I knew I needed to have conversations with because there were like failing grades or big issues. But truly, we need to be sitting down and having conversations with every family, whether it's your child is doing phenomenal and we need to challenge them more, or they're failing and we need to figure out what the issue is. We need to be having a close bond a relationship with all of them, don't we? So her success with this is phenomenal. I really encourage you to click that link in the chat and listen to or read her story, because she's phenomenal. Her ability to use a simple tool as this to create such an amazing outcome, phenomenal. So shout out to Wendy. We love you. And you're an amazing educator. So I would love to ask for anything that you all as educators tuning in or watching this later on, the chat will still be open. Or if you want to tag us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you follow us, if you have resources that are just tools that you've used for years that help make your conferences better, teachers love to share. If there's something you use, a routine that you do, something that you do that makes your conferences better, share them, send a link, tag your teacher friends, share what you've got. In that link that I put in the chat to the podcast and the blog and the impact survey, there's a lot in one link. But we also have a card there, and we're going to add some more to the same link as well later on. But it's got some of our research-based suggestions on how you could run a 30-minute conference with a family and have them help guide the conference. So it's not just you leading, but them as well, and bringing in their own, them informing the conversation as well about their their child, and your information from home as well, involving the information from the impact survey. So take a look at that and share some of your favorite resources as well, because anybody watching, anybody listening might be ready to switch things up and might be looking for something that you've been using for years and you may want to share. And I think it's important for us to always remember that conferences, again, we all call them something different: parent teacher, family led, student led sometimes. These conferences are not just checkpoints. They're not just check-ins. They're not the end of a grading period. They're not to be viewed as just that. I think it's important for us to view them as like the beginning of a conversation, especially at this point in the school year, that can kind of propel momentum for student success. Especially, like I said, at this point in the school year, for those relationships with families, those partnerships with families, where you sit down with them and you say, what is your child's strength? What are their challenges? What am I seeing? What are you seeing? Let's set some goals together. And at this moment, let's decide how we're going to work together in partnership, in communication, to get them where they need to be by May, by June. And those conferences are important, however they happen, however they take place. And then using talking points, using the solution of your choice, then you will communicate with that family in continuation, not just at the next conference, 3 months later, because by then it's too late if you haven't spoken again. That partnership has to continue. And what I'm super excited about is that we are putting together an ed webinar. Hopefully you heard of, watched, attended our ed web on September 7th, I believe. We had one, in September, about welcoming families and having positive interactions. And we had 2 fabulous educators on a panel with us at that one. It was wonderful. If you haven't seen that, you can scroll through our posts and find a link to that. I might be able to put it in the chat here. But we are going to have another EdWeb, and it's called Propelling Progress. Let me see if I have the whole name. Ooh, maybe not. Propelling Progress momentum, families through the rest of the year. It's about post-conference momentum. So it's this whole topic. How do you take what you start, the conversations you start at a conference, and how do you take that momentum and run with it to propel progress, basically. So really excited for it. Hopefully we'll have another teacher or two with us to talk at that ed webinar. We make them interactive. We have teachers just sharing and getting excited about what they have on the topic, and we want any and all of you to join us. We'll get more of that information and the link out to you soon. So I'm very excited about that, excited about this topic, because this is a really, really good catalyst at this point in the year for those relationships. Just because back to school is done does not mean that the relationships have to stop being started. I hope that makes sense. So I've done a lot of talking, as I do the first half of this every time. So let's jump to your FAQs. Dun, da, da, da. I feel like I need like a music transition every time. I am alone this week, so I don't have Jocelyn sending me questions. So if I pause for a second to read questions, bear with me. Or to cough. I still have those allergies. So sorry. But I do have questions coming in from support, and I have a lot to share with you. So we're still going to get this done. So let's look at these questions. Oh, wait, I think I had one other thing to share, actually. Oh, wait, no, that's later. Okay, I promise I'm on it. Here we go. Questions. I try to send scheduled reminders before each family conference. Love that. Love that. You're already using Talking Points features to get prepared for conferences. I try to send scheduled reminders before each family's conference. That's one way Talking Points is a lifesaver for conference attendance. That's not even a question. I'm just going to share that tip from you. So thank you for sharing. I'm going to put the link to how to do that in the chat, and then I'm going to pull up my account to share with you so I can show you how to do that, because some of you may not know how. So here's my account. If I had, let's say tomorrow is Bryn's parent-teacher conference, I could go into Bryn's account. Well, I could do it from my homepage. Let's just go to my homepage. New message, send direct message to Bryn's mother. I'll say, don't forget, tomorrow night is our conference. I'm excited to meet you. And I'm going to put the time as well. Our conference at 4 o'clock. Or I could even, I guess if I was sending this tonight for tomorrow, I wouldn't need to schedule it. But if I was sending it for another time and I needed to schedule it, I would click schedule, pick the date and the time. So let's say if it was next Wednesday and I wanted it to send on Tuesday, let's send it at 1 p.m. Here we go. And then you'll see it popped up over here on the side. So I can always see my scheduled messages here on this side. So I won't forget what I have scheduled and coming up. They'll be in a nice kind of column here on the right-hand side of my dashboard. So scheduled messages are wonderful to have. So that's a wonderful tip. Thank you for that. Next question or tip, who knows? What if there are other teachers who see a child during the day? Is there a way to connect with them on Talking Points? Oh, that is a good question, especially with conferences because their family may come and want to like convene with you and the other teacher together. I had that happen a lot with like my EL kids or kids who had IEPs. We would just all meet together rather than having them come multiple times. Um, so we do have a feature where you can invite co-teachers. So if you have a student, I just use Bryn all the time because it's my child. So this is my example child. So if I want to share this child with another teacher so that that teacher can see my conversations and have can add them to their class and can be my co-teacher for them, then I would, let's see, I haven't done this one in a while. Let me grab the article. That's why our articles are so helpful. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to share the screen with the article. We're going to learn together. Adding co-teachers. That's right. We would share the class. Okay, so we're going to go to the class. I can stop sharing and show you how to do it. If it was an entire class that I needed to share with them, then I could, if it's just one child, then I may need to add that child to a specific class just to share with them. But if I need to add a whole class, let me remove the logo because you can't see the buttons. Okay. These 3 buttons up here, share class. You're gonna just type in who you want to send it to and their email address and send them the invitation. They'll get the invitation in their email, they'll accept it, and they'll see it in their Talking Points account. If they don't already have a Talking Points account, then they'll get that email and it'll help walk them through creating their Talking Points account, and then they'll see your class show up. It's that easy. So excuse me, I'm so sorry I keep having to do that. So next question. I already had my conferences and met with one family in which the parents want to be able to see each other's responses to my messages. How do I help them? So we do have a feature that allows family contacts to opt into shared messaging. I'm putting that in the chat as well. So shared messaging, this one I am going to share the article instead because it is, let me open it right here because it's on the family app and not on my web app. So both family members would need to go into their app. They would click on the student and go to their settings and turn on share messages. Both family members would need to do that. They cannot see each other's messages unless both family contacts opt in. That is for privacy purposes, obviously. So if there are family members who do not want anyone to see their conversation, then they won't. This was something that we thought very hard about and very intentionally about, and we worked really hard on. So if you do have families who want to opt into it, you can sit down with them and help them, or you can send them this article, whichever way would be more helpful for you and for them. But we do offer this for them to opt into to share each other's messages. So that is something that could be helpful for several families. And before I answer any more questions, I'm going to go back to our challenge for the week. We always issue a challenge to you for your Talking Points messages for the weekly theme. And since we're talking conferences, here we go. Challenges. Create a template for sending updates to families based on some of the goals you typically set during conferences. So maybe you'll create a template around behavior updates. Maybe you'll create a template around academic updates. Maybe they could be broad, because I know most kids are going to have a behavior update or a behavior goal, or like half of your kids will have a behavior goal, half of your kids will have an academic goal, some will have both, personal goals. However you set your goals for at conferences to check in at the next one, set a few templates so that between those check-ins, you can be updating family members so that they know how that progress is moving, and that you guys can have those conversations as time is moving on. So those templates can be helpful for you. And some of the templates that we already have in Talking Points for you might already do the trick. So look into your account. Let me pull it up. Go ahead and take a peek in your account. Browse through the templates. View templates right here. And see what's already there. There might already be some that help with that. Student first name was on task all day. That's a good kind of behavior one. This one over here seems to be having some trouble staying on task. So you've got those ones already created. You could edit them, save them. Doing a great job on the new unit that we just started. Yeah, some of these might already fit the bill for that. And then you can also create some by typing in an announcement and save it as template. Just take like 5 minutes, create those, and then you've got them set so that every now and then when little Joe is working hard or doing whatever that is based on the goal that you wrote at his conference, send mom a message so that she can know how it's going. I think that's a really good challenge to just keep everybody aligned. Let me see if we have any other questions. Oh, one other thing I think would be really helpful for this time of year and this topic is to know where your analytics are. So whether you're in the free Talking Points account or your school or district is paying for you to use Talking Points, you have an analytics dashboard where you can see who you're messaging with the most, and how many messages, how many announcements you're sending, those sorts of things, and the details around language, valid phone numbers, who's subscribed and unsubscribed. These would be good things to look at around conference time to make sure, oh, I still don't have a valid phone number for Susie's mom. So when I meet with her for conference, I need to make sure I get her updated information. Those are the sorts of like housekeeping things that Talking Points can help you with when you're meeting in person with people. So make sure you're checking those analytics, and then this can also help you when you set up those conferences and you document those conferences, print out those conversations, have all that documentation. Your admin will love you. That's just like a fun fact. So love it. Happy to be here. Very glad you're here. And I hope you come back. Happy Thursday. Thank you for being with me. I hope to see you next time. Stay tuned for more information on our upcoming Ed webinar about propelling progress post-conferences. And I hope you have a wonderful Friday tomorrow. Let's stay connected and make sure to send us your questions if they come up later. Have a great week.